Two bits here with UVA football. I want to wrap up the 27-13 loss to Maryland from last week, look ahead to Coastal Carolina this week, a little bit looking ahead this week. Let's start with the report card for UVA football and the 27-13 loss to Maryland on Saturday night. The final stats don't tell the whole story or really any of the story in that loss for Virginia. Total offense, one measure of a game, basically the same. Maryland 391, UVA 370. Maryland had an issue with penalties, eight for 66 yards. UVA had two for 14 yards. The UVA had four turnovers. Maryland didn't have any turnovers. And Virginia's turnovers led to seven Maryland points and then also kept at least 3 points off of the scoreboard for UVA because one of those penalties was in the red zone. Maryland was 8 of 19 on third downs, 2 of 2 on fourth downs. In the second half, 5 of 10 on third downs and 2 of 2 on fourth downs. Essentially, facing third down or more on 10 times. They got the first down seven times. That's how you dominate time of possession. They did had over 21 minutes of possession in the second half. They kept the sticks moving. It's hard when we can't get them off the field, and then you go back out there and you're frustrated, and your offense goes 3 and out. I mean, it just kills you. UVA was 1 of 7 on third downs in the second half, 0 of 1 on fourth downs, 3 of 15 for the game on third downs. Virginia got the ball in the red zone four times, got two field goals, one turnover, one touchdown, so 13 points. Maryland had four trips in the red zone, had two field goals, two touchdowns, 20 points. I mean, you add all this up, and the game was, I mean, statistically, it was closer than it felt like, certainly leaving the stadium the other night, but Maryland converted and Virginia didn't. So let's look, kind of roll through the grades here. Anthony Calandria, he has had 10 games where he wasn't a mop-up guy. He had one mop-up game, the season opener last year down in Nashville at Tennessee. Of the 10 games he's played where he's either been the starter or there was one game, the Georgia Tech game last year, where he came in early and played the rest of the game. Of those 10 games, he's had three with a sub 60 PFF grade, Pro Football Focus, and this was one of them. And it's just two of the three were against Maryland. So Maryland's got his number, I guess. 21 completions on the game, but 17 of them travel less than 10 yards in the air. Two of his four intermediate passes, 10 to 19 yards downfield, were intercepted. He did complete three deep balls. He was 3 of 8 for 117 yards on 20 plus yard through the air passes. Uh, Maryland put pressure on Calandria, 25 blitzes on the 43 dropbacks. And he was 12 of 21 for 164 yards and an INT on those snaps and was sacked twice. And gained 24 yards on three scrambles, had 7 yards on two design runs. The O-line, I thought, I mean, especially when I looked at the numbers, did its job. Maryland sent extra guys an awful lot, and but only 15 of the 43 dropbacks were considered under pressure. So that's they did their job. Center Brian Stevens had the clean sheet of the night, no quarterback hurries, pressures, anything. 68.9 PFF grade. Jack Whitmer did a great job. He has had to step in at left tackle for the first three games of the season, as Mikhail Boley, last year's starter at left tackle, projected starter for this year, has been dealing with an ankle injury suffered in training camp. Whitmer is a converted tight end. He was a tight end in the spring, and he put 50 pounds on over the summer, and he's playing left tackle, which is the blind side position on the offensive line in a team with a right-handed quarterback, and he has done well. On Saturday night, 65 snaps. He allowed two QB pressures, graded out at 64.6. This is a guy, again, he's a senior. He barely played as a tight end in 3 years. And now he's playing line and he's playing pretty well. The skill guys, three drops by the Virginia receivers, all were by the tight ends. Tyler Neville, two drops. He had three catches on six targets. Big catch. He had a 39-yard catch helping set up that touchdown right before halftime. But two drops that had to factor in. And Dakota Twitty, former four-star wide receiver, moved to tight end in the spring, one target, and that was a drop. Malachi Fields had four catches on 10 targets, no drops, just Calandria used him as the safety blanket, and they just weren't connecting. Four catches just went for 36 yards. Surprisingly quiet game for Fields. The backs put up good numbers when they were used. No doubt I'll say when they were used. They just weren't used much. And that's been an issue dating back a couple of administrations now. Of note, I noted this when I was looking through the numbers. 27 rushing attempts, 17 of those went to the left side of the line behind Whitmer and left guard Noah Josie. Now, I looked at the season numbers to see if that's a trend, and apparently it's not. 89 rushing attempts through 3 games this season, 46 to the left, 43 to the right. I'm pointing to my left and right. Now, there has been more success on runs to the left, averaging 5.5 yards per carry versus 4.4 yards running to the right. And back to the Maryland game, backup tailback Xavier Brown had the highest PFF grade. He had 43 yards on 7 tries. And then wrapping up, we'll talk some defense real quick. Defensive end Cam Butler had the highest grade at 90.0, 6 QB pressures and 5 tackles from the defensive end. That's a night right there. Cornerback Corey Thomas graded out 75.5. I say deceptive numbers. He allowed 7 catches on 8 targets, which does not sound good, but they were all short stuff right in front of him, and the catches only went for a total of 36 yards. So he did his job. All the short stuff, he kept it in front of him, and that's why he graded out well. Antonio Clary had a lower grade, 69.4, but he had really good numbers. 13 tackles, 2 catches allowed on 8 targets for just 8 yards through the air with 2 pass breakups. So good stuff there for Antonio Clary, who's really playing an important role as a guy on the back end there. Let's talk quickly some football injury report news. Cam Robinson, the 4-star linebacker, missed the game on Saturday. He had the knee sprain from the win at Wake the week before. Tony Elliott told reporters at his weekly presser on Tuesday that Robinson, quote, could be back this week, which is a hedge. Robinson has been on the field for a total of 57 snaps this season. As a true freshman last year, he had the third best Pro Football Focus grade, and he did everything: 72 tackles, 10 QB pressures, 2 sacks, 2 INTs, a little bit of everything from Robinson. We need to get him back out there. Ty Furnish left in the second quarter of the Maryland game after 32 snaps. Without going into any detail, Elliott said Ty will be down, and he added it was a little more serious than what he was initially thinking. So that doesn't sound good. The UVA season stats list offensive lineman Charlie Patterson as having gotten into 2 games. I can't find any stats for him doing anything in the 2 games, either on offense or on special teams. But either way, Elliott listed him on the injury report. He'll be out for a couple weeks with an ankle sprain, according to Elliott. Cornerback Dre Walker, I noticed only played 2 snaps Saturday night. He's probable for Coastal Carolina. Injured his ankle in the game last week. Sudarian Harrison, the wideout, he had one 13-yard catch on 13 snaps this season so far, is probably down another week with a hamstring injury, but he's progressing well, Elliott said. And the final update, I talked about Mikhail Boley a little earlier. Last season, 847 snaps at left tackle, 62.7 PFF grade. He's closer, Elliott said. I don't know if it'll be this weekend, but he's almost back. So, Mikhail Boley, just more Jack Whitmer, and Whitmer's playing well. No problems there.